Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Be Inspired. It is a podcast brought to you by Blue Balloon Theatre, where you guessed it, the aim is for you to be inspired by a whole plethora of incredible creatives from all around the performing arts industry. And today I am joined by a wonderful creative, which I'm really excited to chat to and for you guys to hear about. It is the wonderful Sarah Wardle. Hello.
Hello, it's great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on. It really is. So let's chat about you first. Let's go straight in. Tell us a bit about you and what you do as a creative. Like, what part do you play in this industry?
So I am Sarah Wardle, and I'm a freelance stage manager. And more recently, I'm also now a freelance photographer as well. It always feels weird to say that because I feel like I'm not quite used to it yet, but I am. It's what I do, and yeah, that's me.
That's amazing. That's something that I'm sure we'll talk about it during this podcast, but I really wanted to chat to you about your sort of journey as a photographer, because I've been very fortunate to work with you and you've taken some incredible pictures of me. That feels like forever ago.
I know.
But honestly, I look at those pictures and I think, wow, like that's one of the only sort of shoots I've ever done where I felt completely myself, like really, really relaxed. And I think a lot of that was down to you as a photographer and how you approached your work. And
Yeah.
It was such I really, really enjoyed it. And I know some of our friends, that our mutual friends, have said the same, that they've really enjoyed working with you. So I mean, let's chat a little bit about your photography. I mean,
yeah.
Where did that come in your career? At what point did you realize that this was something you wanted to pursue?
So I've always loved photography in general. Like, I was always that girl in high school who had like a digital camera and used to take it to all the parties and just take photos of everyone. And I've always loved it, but I just never, because I never did it as like a qualification. I just thought that's for somebody else. Like, that's not something I can do. And as much as I work in a creative industry, because of my stage management, I'd always been really like kind of the management side of it, like not the creative side. And I'd graduated from drama school, and I was doing jobs, but I had like really short contracts. So I had like a month or so at a time where I was kind of free and not doing anything. And I really don't like that. Like, I don't like not being creative, not being part of a project. And I needed something to fill that. And some of my friends actually were like doing photography and asking me to kind of be a part of it. Like, will you pose for some photos and stuff? And I kind of went along, and I was like, I'm not one to be in front of the camera. Like, that's not where I want to be. But I love this whole like industry in this sector, and I want to try it for myself. So I just like went for it, bought myself a camera, and was like, if this doesn't even take off, I've got a nice camera to take pictures of my family on holidays. Like, and I used my sister, and I went to the local park, which was like 2 minutes from our house. And I just was like, I'm just going to take some photos of you and see what happens. And I posted them online, and I just felt so good about it. Like, it's a way of showcasing myself and like my kind of style, because that's what photography is. Like, it's your art form, it's the style that you like. And immediately people were reaching out to me like, will you take pictures for this, or I'd love to do some pictures with you. And I was just like, here we go, like, let's do this as like a little side job. And I just love it. I just love every part of it, really.
That's so cool. I love that, what you just said there about how taking photos for you is your way of showing your artistic style. And I would absolutely agree with that, because whenever I see your pictures, I might not see, if I'm on Instagram and I'm scrolling, I might not see that it's your name at the top. I might just see the photo first.
Yeah.
But I know that it's your photo. And it's the same with a lot of the headshot photography.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one. Nick James in London,
Yeah.
prime example. He's got such a specific style of photography that you know his headshots a mile off.
Yeah, immediately you know it's him.
Yeah, and I think that's so. It's kind of nice in a way to have people notice you in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we've worked together in a few different instances
Yeah.
in both like photography of me, but also photography for Blue Balloon as well. And I mean, those photos were. I remember you said to me, you were like, I'm not sure about whether they're going to turn out very well because of the lighting and this, that, and the other. And when I saw them, I was like, oh my God, these are incredible. They were exactly the kind of photo that I wanted. You know, they were a little bit edgy.
Yeah.
There was something about them that was very raw, and it just worked very well with the performance. I think that's something really fantastic about you, is how adaptable you are, in photography. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I wanted to obviously speak about your you being a freelance stage manager as well, because I realised this the other day. This is something I forget, but we both went to Pendleton College.
Yeah. I was thinking about, because I was thinking about the other day, like my journey and how I kind of got into it, and I was like, we met at college and we actually did a show together.
Yeah.
And I always forget, like I just always forget that ever happened, because we kind of met and then we went our separate ways, and then we like rekindled this friendship and started working together. And I was like, that is just this industry, isn't it? Like,
oh God, yeah.
You meet people, you go off, and then you come back into people's lives, and in completely different situations and scenarios as well.
Completely. So I mean, let's start at Pendleton College. Was that the point where you realised you wanted to be a stage manager, or were your intentions different when you started your training there?
So I knew I wanted to work in backstage theatre at this point. Like I went to a secondary school that did a lot of performing arts. And I was in a couple of the shows in high school, and I hated it. Like, I loved the shows, don't get me wrong, but anytime I was on stage, I just wanted to be off stage in the wings. Like, I loved the vibe and I loved all the people, but I could not stand being on stage saying lines. It just was not me at all. And one of my teachers, actually, who I really do owe a lot to, kind of showed me different ways of being in, theatre. And she was like, well, you could help with a costume, or you could help with the lights, or you could, make some props and stuff like that. So I just kind of did it all. And then we had to do like a compulsory work experience. And I was like, I'm not going to an office and sitting in an office for a week. Like, it's not me. It never has been. And I found this work experience week at the Royal Exchange, which fell in the week that I had to do this work experience. And I was like, perfect. And we got to do a bit of everything. And I actually decided I wanted to do lighting. Like, I just loved it. So I did, like, I was kind of part of the Royal Exchange. I then joined their young company, and I was basically doing lighting, like doing the lights, lighting, operating. And that's kind of where I was like, do you know what? Pendleton College have got like a technical theatre course. I can get into lighting through this. So I joined, and then we started learning about all the different kind of sectors, in theatre that, like, you just don't know about. Like, it's so, I've loved theatre from a young age. I was very lucky that my parents that's always been a part of my life. I've always been to see shows, but I didn't know that these careers existed. Like, even now, if I say, like, if I meet someone, if I go to the doctors and the people say, like, what's your job role? And I'm like, oh, I'm a stage manager. They're like, what's that? Like, nobody knows what it is. But Pendleton, I started learning about that role, and I don't even remember like making a conscious decision. I just remember the first time I was like, my show role was to do stage management. It just clicked. Like, it was like, this is what you've been good at for years. This is everything you are as a person. Like, it would be stupid to not do it. Like, it's the career you love, and it's all the skills that you have and all the things that you're good at. And it just clicked. And from there, I was like, no, this is my career path, and this is what I want to do.
That's amazing. Oh, wow. I love that. You're right. It is that moment, I feel, for many of us, where you get the chance to finally do that role, and it just clicks into place, and you suddenly go, oh wow, this is where I fit. This is what I'm really good at. And having that moment is amazing, because I think it can really sort of propel you forward,
Yeah.
into making better decisions for yourself, or the right kinds of decisions for yourself. So I mean, Pendleton was a real it was a real moment in time for you, in a way. Let's chat about your journey after college, so getting into drama schools, because you went to Rose Bruford, didn't you?
I did, yes. So when I started at Pendleton, 16-year-old me, and I remember having this conversation with my parents like all the time. I was adamant I was not going to uni. I was like, I will not go to university. I don't want to. It's not a bit of me. It's not what I want to do. I just want to work. And I had this like almost this shoe in at the Royal Exchange. Like I'd been working there since I was like 15, you know, so like I knew I had these connections, but something, I just didn't feel prepared enough for the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to like UCAS time and stuff, and I was like, I remember like turning around to my parents and being like, I'm applying for drama school, and they were both like, okay. That's a big change. And I thought, do you know what, like I probably won't get in, but what's the harm in trying? Like what's the harm in seeing what kind of people go to drama school, seeing what they have to offer? And I think you'd mentioned in one of your earlier ones, like Pendleton had connections with drama schools. So like they had a connection with Mountview. So Mountview were already coming in, and they'd said, if you've got any technical theatre students, like we will audition them for the course. Like all they have to do is come for half an hour of a chat, and then we'll see. So I was like, you know, it's not going to cost me anything. Don't have to go to London. So I did that. And from there I was like, no, I want to see these places. Like I want to, you know, go and see them and apply for other places to see if there's one that fits me. And I was adamant that I was only going to get, like, if I was going to get an offer, it was going to be one. And I remember I'd said to like my dad, whichever one offers me a place, I'll just go, like, you know, if I can afford it. And somehow I got offers from like 6 different drama schools. Like every drama school I applied for actually offered me a place. It sounds like I'm really picking myself up, but like it was insane. It was the most insane year of my life. I was trying to, you know, get my final grade in college and go to all these different cities to go to drama schools. And like in Pendleton, as when you do technical theatre, your marks are all based on the shows. So we had to do every single season show. So I did 8 shows that year and 6 different drama schools. Like I don't even remember where I was at what point. But I'd applied for all these places, and all of a sudden I got this like overwhelming feeling of like, you've got a huge decision to make. Like, I don't know what to do. And I actually remember I was in rehearsals for, it was the last show that I did. I think it was Rent. And I was sat next to the director, and I got this phone call from Rada to say, you've been offered a place. And she was kind of there when I got this phone call, and my face was like, I don't believe this. Like, this is amazing. And everyone, I think, just kind of presumed because it was Rada, I was going to take it because it had this huge, you know, thing about it, like a big name.
Yeah.
And I remember being backstage for the tech rehearsals of Rent, of that show. And I was with a few of the cast members, and we were waiting like in a tiny little corner for like some scene change or something. And I just said to them, like, I don't know what to do. And they were like, well, where did you feel most comfortable? You know, what did you enjoy? Like, this isn't about what other people think you should do or what other people expect you to do. Like, this is going to be 3 years of your life. And I was like, I fell in love with Rose Bruford. Like, the second I saw it, I felt like I could be there. And they were like, well, there you go, you've made your decision. And it was then, and I was like, do you know what? I have. That's it. And that's when I decided, like, I was going to go to drama school, and all of a sudden, like, my world just completely changed, which is just mad. But it was the best decision I made, for sure. And I'm so glad I did it. And I'm so glad that I actually went to drama school as well, to like carry on my training, because Pendleton was like an all-rounder for technical stuff, but I got to do 3 years at Bruford that were like stage management focused for 3 full years, and I needed that. Like, I didn't know it at the time, but I definitely needed that to progress in my career.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're completely right. You have that moment of, oh God, I really need to make a decision, but actually you probably knew all along, because you walk into these drama schools and you immediately make a sort of connection with it. If it's the right place, you just know within yourself. I was exactly the same. I had that exact moment, and I think I cried when I left, because I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
You just know it in your heart. Like, sometimes you just get, like, I just felt with Rose Bruford, like I could picture myself there from that first moment of walking in and sitting down, like waiting to be, taken through for my interview. I was like, in a year's time, I can imagine being sat in this canteen, like with my friends. Do you know what I mean? And it's so random, but you do just know in yourself where you're supposed to be.
Definitely. And I really admire the fact that, beforehand you were quite adamant on not going to university or, studying any further. But you made that decision for you because you knew that that was what you needed. I completely relate to that, because there were a few of the performer friends that I made at Pendleton, whom you probably know, that decided not to go to drama school, and that was a very definite choice. Whereas for me, it was a no-brainer. I said, I need that extra training. I need that time to really find myself as a performer, to know what I can bring to the table. And it's the same for any craft, really. I'm sure you found this as well. After your 3 years, you knew exactly the kind of stage manager you were. And that is what, further education, drama school training gives you. Completely different to university training. Like, I'm just gonna say that now, because
100%.
It is so different. I mean, absolutely nothing wrong at all with going to university and pursuing your training there, but I think if you're a hands-on practical person, the best place for you, I'm sure you'll tell me if you think so as well, but the best place for you is probably drama school.
And especially like the industry that we're in, it taught me so much about work ethic, like from the offset. Like, probably like my second week at drama school, this wasn't 2 days a week you'd have a couple of lectures. We had academic lectures, and then we'd do 12-hour rehearsal days, or projects that would span for like a half a day and then another half a day of lectures. You weren't leaving at all before 7 o'clock in the evening. If not, most weeks we were leaving at 10 o'clock at night, and going in the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, and you had to do all the academic stuff that people do at uni, but we also had shows and different show roles and making things. And I think if I hadn't have done that, I'd never have been prepared for like a tech week, where you go into tech and you're just like, you give your life up for that week. So my work ethic changed completely, because at college, 16 to 18, they can only kind of keep you, like most of my days were only until like 4, I'd say, like my lessons, and then the odd time we'd have an hour rehearsal afterwards. But this was like nowhere near the level of drama school where, I definitely got my money's worth. I know some people say with uni, like, what are we paying all this money for? But like, I know where my money went with drama school, because I gave up my life for 3 years to train there.
No, I agree completely. I mean, obviously I am slightly biased because I've been to drama school myself, so I know, but I would agree with you definitely on that one. You have an incredible positive attitude about you, Sarah, if you don't mind me saying so. And I really, really admire you and how you put yourself out there into the world. And whenever I see anything that you're doing on social media or projects that you've been working on, I see how grateful you are for these experiences. And it's sort of, it's like any craft, especially in the performing arts industry, it really does shape us as human beings. Tell us about your experiences sort of post-graduation. Have there been any jobs that have really tested you or that have really helped you grow as a freelancer?
So I was really lucky in that, so again, as part of our third year at drama school, we had to do like a compulsory placement. And Matt and Rose Bruford actually had a connection with Oldham Coliseum, and they were like, we know you're northern based anyway, so it would be great for you to go and kind of like, you know, get that connection, meet those people. So I went in March of my final year. We were due to finish in June. I went in March for a few weeks, and I was like, going to go back to Manchester for 4 weeks. And then I just never went back. Like, I ended up ringing my drama school towards the end, and I was like, they've kept me on for another few weeks. And then I've also found 2 other placements in Manchester that want me to come and shadow them. So it ended up being like the busiest term, but all of it was back in Manchester. Like, I was fully away from Bruford, and I handed in all my, like, you know, my dissertation and stuff. But because I was working in stage management, you know, I was able to do that, which I'm so grateful for, because it's an experience not everyone got. But that connection, like, that was back in 2017, and I have worked with Oldham Coliseum and still hold Oldham Coliseum very dearly to my heart since. You know, anytime they need anyone, even if it's just a day, like when they've moved into their new storage unit, they were like, Sarah, can you come in for the day? Like, they're some of my closest friends. They're such a great theatre to be involved with. And they took me on as this, you know, 21-year-old that hadn't even graduated yet for a bit of a placement. And they've kept me since. Like, I've been working there as a freelancer ever since. And I absolutely love that, because that's a connection that is so strong for me. But I did find it really difficult that first year, being a young female in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And in my sector, like, I think in any real, like, technical kind of hands-on job, there's always that stereotype of kind of like heavy lifting is for men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, you know, building things, getting dirty, like all that kind of thing. It's not a woman's job, but it's the job that I want to do. It's what I love doing. You know, I do DIY for all my family at home. Like, that's just who I am. But it is hard, because I do feel like, especially in the first year or so, there's that kind of stereotype of, oh, you're so young, like, you've not got the experience. You know, I missed out on a few jobs because it's like, oh, you know, you're quite young to be on the job. And it's like, well, how am I ever going to progress and get older if nobody's going to give me experience now? Because I'm not just going to sit around and wait until I'm, you know, in my mid-30s to get my first job. Yeah. So you do really have to put yourself out there. And I think that's kind of where I taught myself, or like made myself, you know, have this positive and grateful outlook for everything, because I wanted to learn from everyone I met, so that I could go into the next job or the next interview and show that I'm willing to grow, I'm willing to be adaptable, and just willing to fit in with them. And that I wanted to learn. You know, there are a lot of people older than me out there, and a lot of people with much more experience, so I want them to show me, and I want them to give me that. And it wasn't until actually 2019 I got a job working for Manchester International Festival, and I got a job on kind of a small production, just doing like a little bit of ASM in. And then there was this huge show, and it was like their big kind of final thing, and it was going to have like a mystery location and really huge like music artists. And they realized they needed more stage management, because it was going to be like, it was held in Mayfield Depot, and it was like a capacity of 1,000. And they were like, yeah, we need stage managers here to help like run this. And it was with Manchester School of Acting students, and they brought me in on the Monday, and they were like, we open on the Wednesday, here's 30 students, like, you're in charge of it. And I was like, okay. And all of the other team, like all of the other stage managers and, you know, production managers and stuff were all like in their 40s and they'd have years of experience. And I just didn't say anything about, you know, what I'd done before. I just went in and did the job that I was, you know, asked to do. And I managed people as well as I could. And after that I'd finished, like all these people were like, we just can't believe that you know, you haven't done anything like this before, because you just took to it so well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first time that I was like, do you know what? I really can do anything I set my mind to. Like, you know, I am deserving of these bigger jobs, like, you know, and I can do it. And I think since then I've been like pushing myself to just continue being like the best version of me possible.
Yeah.
And helping others to be that as well, really.
Yeah. That's amazing. That, you know what you've just said there, that you are deserving of the bigger jobs, is something that I think applies to every creative. Getting to that point and believing that you deserve those jobs is a turning point. It absolutely is. And I feel when you're like a new graduate and maybe you've not had the experience that, you know, some of the older people in your sector have, it can be quite disheartening in a way, because you feel like, oh, I need to learn bit by bit and work my way up. Actually, it's not always the case.
Yeah.
So I think that's an amazing outlook to have, and I mean, kudos to you, because like I said before, you really, you radiate positivity, and it's infectious. It really is. I can't stop smiling. I'm like proper fangirling over here.
It's almost like you reach that moment, and, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it's only in the last couple of years or so that I've reached this point where I've stopped wanting to mold to be what jobs want, you know, their stage manager to be. I am who I am, and that's why I'm employable. If a person or a company doesn't want to hire me because I don't fit, that's okay, because my craft is not, you know, it's not like I'm a plumber and my craft is doing that. My craft is me as a person. It's my, you know, the way I interact with people. It's my brain. It's how I work. So if I as a person don't fit, you know, that's totally fine. I shouldn't be changing myself for a job. I should be pushing myself out there to be like, you know, you want somebody like me because this is who I am and this is what I can give for you. And I think when you reach that point, like a lot of, you know, you can go to college like we did, and I think I definitely had a moment in college where I thought I'd like found myself, but then you realize looking back, like 18-year-old Sarah did not know, you know, who she was. Like, it's taken a long process, but I do finally feel like fully content and fully happy with the person that I am, and that I don't have to change that for any job or company or person. Like, I'm me, and if you want to hire me, then hire me. Like,
hell yeah, girl, that's what it's about. Like, that, you have to have some form of belief in yourself to succeed. You really, really do. And I think a lot of people watching this, whether they're freelance stage managers like yourself, or whether they're performers or technical staff or anything at all, they'll be watching this going, hell yeah, like I need to believe in myself too. So I kind of wanted to discuss what's next for you. Do you have anything lined up? I know that with your photography, you're obviously, because of lockdown, that's not been happening, but what are your plans with that now that you know there is light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak?
So I finally started taking bookings again now that restrictions are lifting. I've got a couple of people booked in for the next month or so, and I've, fingers crossed, got some projects that could potentially be going ahead stage management wise in the summer. I mean, it's all very dependent on what happens at the moment, but I'm hopeful, and, you know, I'm in talks with people and having meetings about stuff, so hopefully some of that will go ahead. It's hard because I think, especially in the last year, like I haven't done any stage management and little photography in the last year that you do start to doubt yourself. And it's the first time in my kind of career that I've almost started having thoughts about going a different way or changing my career. But like, I know that that's not what I want. And I know that as soon as I'm back in a theatre again, I will know full well that's where I need to be. And whether it even just be like watching a show, like, I know that I'm going to want to do that. And I think hopefully I can just continue to, you know, work in my stage management jobs and do my photography when I can. You know, the photography for me is always just kind of like a side job, and I do it because I love it. Like, if I ever felt too much pressure, or I ever felt, you know, that I wasn't enjoying it as much, I probably wouldn't continue with it, because for me, it's my way of staying creative and my way of enjoying myself. So I don't want it to ever be something that, you know, feels like a chore.
Yeah.
It's just great that it can also be a job. But I just hope that further down the line I can continue working, but also like help other people. Like, I'd love to mentor, you know, younger people, because I just feel like I was very lucky that I had a teacher when I was 13, 14 years old that saw something in me. You know, as much as I hated performing, she was like, there are other ways that you can still do what you love, you know. And she guided me in the right direction, but there is so little of that out there. And I think I want to be that person for other people. Like, I want to be that person that is like, this is a job that you can do, and this is a career that you can, you know, achieve if that's what you want to do. And hopefully someday just continue to do that, maybe teach, you know, what I do, and like potentially like work with like theatre, like start a theatre company or something like that, because I just feel like I've got so much more to give. And that's what I want to keep doing as long as I possibly can, really.
Amazing. That is fair play. I'm like, yes, this sounds amazing. I'm going to be there for all of them. This kind of takes me nicely on to what I was going to ask you next, which was, do you have any advice for anybody that is maybe starting out, or anybody that is in this industry already, just in terms of just sort of progressing forward, I suppose?
For people that are starting out, you know, I would say it has to come from you. Like, I didn't have the biggest support in the world as a teenager. You know, everyone wants you to go into academics and stuff, but I was the person that was researching theatres in Manchester and what courses did, you know, technical theatre, and what courses or what kind of places would give me, you know, a day shadowing or whatever. All of that came from me. It's not ever handed to you on a plate. Like, you have to go out there and look for it. So if you have a passion for, you know, any role in theatre, reach out to people. If you see a stage manager on Twitter, you know, if it's in their handle, drop them a message and ask them like what kind of skills you need, or, you know, I'm always willing to answer any questions like that. And I just think if I'd done that more, I might have even been aware earlier that that was something that I wanted to do. But in terms of like, and it's really difficult because I loved my time at drama school, and I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't not go, I wouldn't change it. But drama schools, I do find, try to mold you into a certain kind of person in the industry. Like, if you're, you know, if you've trained at Bruford, you're a Bruford stage manager compared to, you know, other stage managers from other drama schools and stuff. But it shouldn't be like that. Like, there are so many of my peers at drama school that were completely different people to me. Like, they excelled in building things, but they didn't have the same kind of people skills that I have, or they were really, really great with like queuing and being on the book, but they weren't as great with making stuff. Like, you don't have to conform to anything, you know, utilize the skills that you do have and make that be what sells you as like different. Because as long as you're adaptable and you're willing to, you know, learn new skills and keep growing once you're out, you know, out of drama school, you will get work and people will want to work with you. And it's only the person that you are that sells yourself, you know. you can't always get that across on paper in a CV or whatever, but you just need to sell yourself when you meet people or network in an industry, and that is how you will, get on in this industry. Because for me, it's becoming less and less me applying with a CV and more and more people that I've worked with in the past passing on my name to other people. Producers that I've worked with still pass on my name to people, and I get phone calls saying like, so and so's like mentioned you, or you worked with this person once. And that is how this industry works. So if you can make those good connections, and even if you don't think you're getting anything from a job, if you are the best version of yourself when you do it, so much will come from that you won't even see until maybe a year down the line where someone rings you up. So just make the most of every opportunity, really. That's probably the best advice I'd give to people.
I completely agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that's amazing advice. And you're completely right. Like, I was thinking about my journey as an actor, performer. I do a bit of everything really, as in terms of performing. And in the past sort of 2 years, pretty much every job I've had has come from people I've worked with before that have recommended me. And I'm like, that's insane. Like, I'm incredibly grateful for that, because like you said, that's how you move forward. Like, those moments of networking, those relationships that you form are so important, whether you realize it or not. So, stay in touch with people, like, keep those connections and relationships going if you can. I mean, obviously it's not always as easy as that. It's easier said than done, isn't it? Because we are very busy people. But
just being that person, like, I like to pride myself on, I still have a lot of friends from Pendleton, who I met at 16, who, if I see on Twitter that they've got a job, like, I will shout it from the rooftops. I will share and retweet that. I will be posting on my Instagram story about people getting cast in, TV shows or theatre shows, because I'm proud of those people. I've seen them and watched them grow from, training to being great at what they do. And it only takes 2 seconds to reply to someone that's showing off what they're in, their next show that they're in, to congratulate them. And I still do that for the people I met at the age of 16. I don't see them all the time, I don't talk to them all the time, but if you continue to be that person, they will want to be that person for you as well, or they will remember you. Because I still have people that say to me, you are always the first person to congratulate me on a new job, or congratulate me on, whatever I'm doing. And I think they're going to remember that. And if they ever do need someone, that they know where I am, they know what I do, and they know that I'm supportive. So that is what helps you with connections. It doesn't have to be, seeing people every single week or talking to people on the phone for an hour. Like, the simplest, littlest messages of just like, I'm supporting you, you have my support and I'm proud of you, can literally just mean the world to someone. And can keep your relationship with people strong.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point to make, actually, because I know a lot of my friends, actor friends, really struggle with networking, and the whole idea of it just brings this sense of like dread and fear, because they're like, oh my god, I have to speak to these really professional people that have been doing it for years, and and it's like, how do I put my best foot forward with these people? Just be yourself. And like you said, just show that willingness to be there for other people, and that you are there for other people. I think it's very easy to get caught up in this competitive industry and see it as almost like, I've got to beat them, I've got to sort of push them aside to get this role or whatever. It's not the case. It's not the case. As you say, building people up and supporting them in whichever way you can just shows that you're there and you're with them, and hopefully they will take you with them on their journey, and likewise you'll take them with you. I think that's a really nice sort of point to end this podcast, because I think that's wonderful advice. I really do. Thank you so much for your time and energy. Like this, I can't stop smiling. It's been like literally a breath of fresh air, and I'm sure anyone listening will agree. Would you like to plug any of your social medias? Where can we find you online?
Yes, so I am S_Wardle photography on Instagram. That's kind of my main place that I post things. I'm also on Facebook, so SK Wardle Photography on Facebook. But you'd find most of my photos, the biggest range of them, are on my Instagram page. If people want to go and check them out, and that's kind of where I take a lot of my bookings from. And kind of network with people and connect with people on there. So if anyone wanted to go and give me a little follow, that would be great.
Amazing. Everyone go and book in with Sarah. She will take some incredible pictures of you. Amazing. And are you on Twitter as well?
I am on Twitter. I don't have, my Twitter isn't for my photography, it's just kind of me as a freelancer, but I kind of just, I'm just always open for a chat, really. Like if you see me, or if you see my name pop up and you do want to just drop a message about getting into the technical side of theatre or whatever, like I am more than happy to talk to people about my pathway into the industry, and also like help out people as much as possible, because that is what I would have wanted as, a teenager or a young person trying to get into it. So as much as I can do that for people, I will.
Amazing. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. Again, thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much, just for your time and your energy and your positivity. And we wish you every bit of success in the future. If you've been watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, comment down below. Both us at Blue Balloon and Sarah will meet you in the comments if you have anything to ask, or if you just enjoyed it, let us know. We love that too. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. You can now listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Anchor, and wherever else you get your podcasts. The list is endless at the minute. But thank you so much for listening and watching, and thank you again, Sarah. I keep saying thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a joy, and until the next time, guys, we'll see you later.